What if one confession was enough to tear an entire family apart? That is the terrifying possibility facing Coronation Street next week, as a long-hidden truth finally threatens to come out. With emotions reaching breaking point, relationships under enormous pressure, and secrets refusing to stay buried, Weatherfield is heading toward another week of explosive drama. A confession may sound simple, but in Coronation Street, the truth rarely arrives without consequences. When someone finally decides to speak, the revelation can change how characters see one another forever. And this time, the fallout could be especially devastating. Next week promises to bring tense confrontations, painful discoveries, and difficult decisions as several residents find themselves caught up in problems that have been building for some time. But among all the drama, one confession stands out because of the damage it could cause to an entire family. The question is not simply what will be revealed. The bigger question is whether the family involved can ever recover from hearing the truth. Coronation Street has always built its biggest stories around secrets. Characters hide the truth because they are frightened, ashamed, or desperate to protect someone they love. Sometimes they believe keeping quiet is the kindest thing they can do. But secrets have a habit of growing. The longer they remain hidden, the more destructive the eventual revelation can become. That is exactly what makes next week's storyline so intriguing. A confession has the potential to completely change the balance between several characters, leaving them wondering whether they ever really knew one another at all. At first, the situation may appear manageable. Someone may believe they can control the timing of the revelation and decide exactly who needs to know. But Weatherfield rarely allows anyone to stay in control for long. Once the truth begins to emerge, it could spread quickly. One person discovers something. Another starts asking questions. And suddenly, a secret that was supposed to remain private becomes impossible to contain. The emotional consequences could be enormous. For the family at the center of the story, the confession could represent a complete betrayal. Even if the person who kept the secret believed they were protecting their loved ones, those intentions may not matter once the truth comes out. People may feel lied to. Trust could disappear. And years of family history could suddenly be viewed through completely different eyes. That is where the drama becomes particularly powerful. A confession does not just reveal information. It can change the meaning of everything that happened before it. A conversation that once seemed harmless might suddenly look suspicious. A relationship that appeared strong might suddenly seem built on lies. And a character who was trusted completely could become the person everyone questions. That emotional shift could dominate the week. The person making the confession is also likely to face a difficult reaction. Telling the truth may initially seem like the right thing to do, but honesty does not always lead to forgiveness. Sometimes telling the truth simply means finally facing the consequences. And those consequences could be brutal. Family members could refuse to listen. Arguments could erupt. Someone could walk away. Another person might demand answers that cannot easily be given. The confession could therefore become less about the original secret and more about the damage caused by hiding it. That is one of the most realistic aspects of soap drama. People do not always react logically when their world is suddenly turned upside down. Shock can quickly become anger. Anger can become blame. And blame can destroy relationships that took years to build. For viewers, the biggest question will be whether this family can survive the fallout. There may be attempts to repair the damage, but forgiveness will not come easily. Someone may insist that the truth should have been revealed much earlier. Another character could argue that the secret was kept for a good reason. Both sides may believe they are right, and that could make reconciliation almost impossible. Meanwhile, the rest of Weatherfield will continue dealing with their own problems. Coronation Street's strength has always been its ability to balance multiple storylines at once, allowing one crisis to unfold while another is already building in the background. Next week should be no different. As the confession storyline intensifies, viewers can expect plenty of emotional conversations, suspicious behavior, and moments where characters are forced to make difficult choices. Some may choose loyalty. Others may choose self-preservation. And a few could decide that they have had enough and walk away completely. That possibility is particularly important because major family revelations often create lasting changes. A character may no longer feel comfortable living under the same roof. A relationship could become impossible to repair. Or someone who has always been considered part of the family could suddenly find themselves completely isolated. The confession could therefore have consequences far beyond a single episode. It could become a turning point that shapes future storylines for weeks or even months. There is also the question of whether everyone is being told the complete truth. Soap viewers know that one confession does not necessarily reveal everything. A character might admit one secret while continuing to hide another. Someone could confess because they have been caught, rather than because they genuinely want to be honest. And another person may know more than they are willing to reveal. That creates another layer of suspense. Just when viewers think they understand what has happened, another piece of information could emerge and completely change the situation. This is where Coronation Street can really keep audiences guessing. The most dangerous moment may not even be the confession itself. It could be what happens afterwards. Once the truth is out, people are free to react. And some reactions could be extreme. A character who feels betrayed might confront the person responsible. Another could threaten to expose an even bigger secret. Someone else may attempt to manipulate the situation for their own advantage. The fallout could therefore create new conflicts across the cobbles. Fans will also be watching closely to see how the characters respond emotionally. Viewers often become deeply invested in family storylines because the conflicts feel personal and relatable. Most people understand the fear of disappointing someone they love or discovering that a trusted person has not been completely honest. That emotional connection can make a storyline like this particularly powerful. There is likely to be plenty of discussion among fans as the episodes unfold. Some viewers may sympathize with the person who kept the secret. Others may argue that there is no excuse for lying to your family. And some may simply be stunned by the revelation itself. Social media reactions could become especially intense if the confession changes the direction of a popular character. That is often when soap fans begin developing theories about what could happen next. Could the family eventually reunite? Could someone leave Weatherfield? Could another secret be exposed? Or could the confession trigger an even bigger crisis? Those questions will keep viewers guessing. From a storytelling perspective, the biggest impact could be the breakdown of trust. Once trust disappears, even ordinary conversations become difficult. Every explanation sounds suspicious. Every decision is questioned. And every new piece of information can reopen old wounds. That gives the writers plenty of opportunities to explore the emotional consequences of the revelation rather than simply treating it as a one-off shock. The family could attempt to move forward, but the old dynamics may never return. That is what makes the phrase "destroys a family forever" so significant. It does not necessarily mean that everyone will physically separate forever. It could mean that the family relationship they once knew is gone. The innocence has disappeared. The trust has been damaged. And even if forgiveness eventually comes, things may never feel quite the same. Looking ahead, there is also the possibility that the confession becomes the beginning of another major storyline. One secret could lead to another. A character could begin investigating what else has been hidden. Someone could uncover evidence that contradicts the original story. And suddenly, the family could find itself dealing with an even bigger problem. Coronation Street has a long history of turning small revelations into major story arcs, and this storyline could follow the same pattern. The key will be how the characters respond once the truth is finally out in the open. Will they fight to save their family? Will they blame one another? Or will the damage simply prove too great? There may be no easy answer. And that uncertainty is exactly what makes next week's episode so compelling. For the person making the confession, there may be a sense of relief at finally telling the truth. But that relief could quickly disappear when the reaction becomes clear. For those hearing the confession, the immediate feeling may be disbelief.